Hello again, everyone. 2 videos in one day. Oh my goodness, who would have thought? This video is about Capcom showcase that they just had, well, really a few minutes ago, and I want to talk about Resident Evil Village and Resident Evil 4, and certainly Resident Evil 4 more than anything. Um, the Resident Evil Village, I'm not the biggest fan of, just because I'm not that big of a fan of first-person Resident Evil. So go ahead and shoot me if you want, but it's just not really my cup of tea. RE7 and RE8, they have their own fans. I'm not just as big of a fan of that. I'm more classic Resident Evil, and RE4 it has a special place in my heart. I've discussed that in a previous video when I was watching the teaser for the remake, and I'm going to be talking about the remake today. They showed some more footage of it, and we're going to go through it. It's not they didn't show too much. I was hoping they would have like a gameplay showcase, but it didn't happen. But I'm going to talk about it in some of my criticisms and concerns about RE4. I've been really high on RE4's remake, especially setting off and triggering fellow The Last of Us fans, seeing as that it was what I call a remaster of the game. But enough about that. This is about RE4, and I'm not going to let it off the hook either. I'm going to hold their feet to the fire over this, and I promise you I have my criticisms of this game as well. So let's talk about the Village portion of this. I'm going to have to skip forward. Capcom showed off a lot of pretty cool games here. A lot of it I'm not really familiar with, but the stuff about Dragon's Dogma was really cool, and the Monster Hunter, I thought that was neat. I've not really played a lot of those games, but they look really cool, and perhaps I'll give them a try too. So this is going to be a story about Ethan's daughter, if I'm not mistaken, and what's so interesting about this trailer for this DLC is not necessarily the content of it, but it's the fact that it's going to be third person. And by all indications of this, guys, it seems like that the series is making a shift back to third person. I did not know this. I did not, I've not heard of this. I've not thought of this at all. I do believe that there's going to possibly be both offered in the future, just because simply the VR aspect of this is going to be very popular, and having the VR, having it first person is pretty much a requirement. So the third person with just playing on controller, I think, is a better experience for Resident Evil. I call it the Call of Evil, and it just, the first person just never really worked for me. But I have not played it RE7 or 8 in VR, so I'm very interested to give that a try, just to see if that changes my mind on this stuff. So Shadows of Rose is what they're calling this. To me, it just seems like this is it's so odd that so many people were critical of RE6 being just such an over-the-top experience, narrative-wise, with the plot. And I've been doing some Photoshop, so you'll see it in the background there. I've been working on some photos, so excuse that. But the thing is about RE7 and RE8, and RE7 not really as much, but RE8 certainly just went overboard with camp. I mean, you're killing werewolves and lycans and vampires, for God's sake. It's no longer about killing zombies. It's gotten like really fantastical, and I'm not the biggest fan of that. I know a lot of you are, and it's just not. It's not as appealing to me as the old school, really moody horror types of games. And the one knock that I had for RE4, and I'm going to get into this more in just a moment, but the one knock I had about it was that it was just, it sort of was delving into camp, and I think that's where this action element to Resident Evil really started, was with RE4, and a lot of people feel that way too. So, but with RE8, it just, and even RE7, you had DLC of a guy in this game that was that was seriously punching alligators. They were making fun of Chris punching a boulder. This guy was punching alligators. Um, and now you have Chris punching people in the RE8 DLC. You guys let me know if this is what you like from Resident Evil. Is this Resident Evil to you? Um, but I like this. I really like this. This third person RE8. I think this is really cool, and I want to play it. This seems very attractive to me. So good on Capcom for offering that. And also, there's going to be a free upgrade for the now current gen PS5 and Xbox Series X versions and S versions of this. Not sure about PC. I think they mentioned that too, and that's going to be really cool if all of that is free to upgrade to. Um, Now let me skip forward just a bit, and they showed a trailer for RE4 again. And my internet's being a little slow. Of course, this was on this was the full live stream presentation. And before I jump into RE4, this Shadows of Rose, I think is what it's called. I think that's also completely going to be in third person. So how interesting is that? And I hope it's going to be a proper DLC too, not just something that you can play and beat within an hour. All right, let's see what we have for RE4 here. All right, so they're jumping into to showing the original teaser now. I'm just going to talk over it for a second because my main concern about RE4 is cut content, and I made this big gripe about The Last of Us being a shot-for-shot remake. That could actually be a positive for that category or in the positive category for that game versus this remake for RE4, because what if they do like RE3 and cut complete portions of the game out? That's I'm really worried about that, and I talked about it a little more in my other video that this has been addressed internally with Capcom, or at least as if the rumors are true, they have addressed this already. And the original team that was working on the RE2 remake took over, and this is where we start to get the new stuff in here. We finally see Leon's face, so I'm just going to pause it here for a second. But the original development team for the RE2 remake took over, and they're overseeing this entire project now. So that gives me a lot of hope that they have listened to customer feedback on this, that players have given them and told them, hey, we're not going to accept you guys tampering with this. It's, of course, this property belongs to Capcom, but we are the ones that buy it. So if if you don't listen to your customers, then why make a product in the first place? So that's very important. Well, let's talk about the additions to it. We've not really seen anything like totally new yet, other than the fact that we know that this game is going to be tonally different, completely different actually. It's going to be much darker, and the characters appear to be more fleshed out this time, and they're going to give a bit more of a backstory into Ashley. I really hope that they're going to give her more to do, that her character's not just going to be lying in a dumpster somewhere saying, help me, Leon, and do all this stuff. I really hope that that's gone, that it's going to be more of a serious take. And look, if she screams or whatever, sure, that's expected. I don't want them to beef her up into a superhero or anything. It's just I really hope that she has a progression throughout the game, that she becomes braver as time goes on, and that she's able to actually help Leon fight in some of these situations. I think that would be really cool. And let's start this here. So we get this full view of Leon, and he looks really good. The character model. I follow his actual face model on Instagram. Eduardo, I believe, is his name, and I'm not sure of his last name, but he seems to be sort of a very well, let's put it this way. He's a pretty cool guy. He's a model, and he's he's been really quiet about the Resident Evil stuff. You know, unlike some of the other models that have done the face capture and stuff for these characters, especially the female versions like Jill's characters. The actors that did her character, they have been more outspoken about being part of this. And Jordan McEwen, the one that does Claire in the RE2 remake, you know, she was talking to some of her fans about that. But he's been relatively silent about this. You know, it's almost like it's he's shy, and I think that's kind of cool that he is. So. He looks a bit changed this time around. Now, I get it. You know, this is going to be 6 years since RE2, so they've kind of digitally aged him a bit. The hair is still preserved. You know, I didn't know if I wanted to see the boy band hair come back again or the anime hair, but you know, it's Leon. This is sort of his thing, and it, you know, hey, at least they've got some individual strands of hair going on here, so it looks really good, especially in motion. Once again, the jacket looking really good. The jacket be popping on Leon. Now let's look here. You know, it's going to be available on Steam. So PC confirmed. We've got Xbox Series X and S, PS5, and no prior generation support on this, guys. And that's what I fully expected. I'm glad. I'm glad to start seeing this. You know, once again, I do not have a current gen console like PS5 or Series X. I do not have one yet. I've not been able to find one, and not willing to pay scalper pricing for it either. So I'm going to pay retail to get one, and it might just go ahead and buy one used if it's from a trusted person. But I'm glad that they're not going to cater to the prior gen people, because we've got to have a shift. You know, we're going to have a console generation shift or a cutoff to where they're going to say, hey, you know, you need to buy the new consoles to run this, because these game engines are going to be more power hungry, and the graphics are going to reflect that, and also, you know, new features in the game are going to be able to reflect that. So that's a good thing for me. I like the progression in that. We got a release date there, and then of course the developers come in and they give us some new insights into the game. And one of the things that really excited me about this was that it explored just a few more scenes of Leon walking through the woods and towards the village here, and it gives us just a bit more of an insight on the tonality of this. You know, I touched on that earlier. This is a much darker game, literally. It looks as if he is in like maybe the pre-dawn hours as he's walking up to the initial confrontation that he has with the Ganado at the beginning of the game. And so, you know, they're explaining the game a little bit more in detail about how we get to this point. I hope that this is added into the game so that new players can understand this. You know, one criticism that I have of the Resident Evil 2 remake and 3 is that both games do not go into a lot of detail about how they got where they were. They really did not explore any of the lore from the first game, and it was kind of like you just picked up a game and they expected you to already know what was going on. And of course, me being a veteran OG player of the series, I was 12 years old when RE2 was released, and I still played it even though I was really too young to be playing it. But looking back on it now, you know, the game looks very cartoony and the gore is almost laughable. But you know, at that time it was a mature rated game, and I still played it. Of course I did, and loved it. I was just getting into George Romero movies at the time, and guys, it was just, oh man, what a time to be alive. I remember seeing the cover of the game, and I had no idea that there was a second game coming at all. And I just saw it for rent. You know, when it was released, I saw it at the video store, and Mom was sympathetic enough to rent it for me. So and I played it and loved it. I beat that game so many times. But as you can tell, I know all about the game. A newcomer to the series that would pick this up, now, oh yeah, you know, RE4's, you know, it's a very popular game. It was fun. You know, I've been told good things about it. They're not going to know a whole lot about it. So that's kind of why I wish that they would have something there to tie these games together, because this is a pretty big leap of time, being 6 years between the second game and the third game's events to where we are with the fourth game. Really cool shot of Leon right here, holding his classic pistol from RE4. I think that this is an exclusive pistol for the game. I don't think that it's based off of a real one. I kind of wish that he would have started with his Desert Eagle from RE2, but he would have been lopping heads off left and right with that Magnum. So let's see what else we've got here. All right, so it shows a picture of Ashley, and a lot of people were speculating if this was actually Ada in the beginning, but no, it is indeed Ashley. She's wearing her signature colors that we've known her for, and I believe that she is actually wearing the original wardrobe from RE4, the release version of RE4, underneath that jacket. And I think she might potentially lose the jacket later on in the game for whatever reason, like Leon loses his. Perhaps when they're starting to experiment on her or inject her with the Las Plagas, and we might actually get to see her original costume. But I do like her outfit that she has here. It looks very classy, and she looks sharp. So moving forward here, we've got this same shot of Leon again, and it's going to zoom out here a bit, and we're going to see in just a second, we're going to see some clips of him walking forward. And by the way, look at the eyes on this dude. Like, they are bloodshot as fuck. He is not in a good mood. He looks like his wife has given him some hell. He's been in trouble for something, or he didn't take the garbage out. Something is going on with this Ganado, and he is pissed and going to take it all out on Leon. And here, as you can see, now this is a new shot. We've got, and you can just kind of see the YouTube compression here. Good grief, look at all of these artifacts and stuff in here. So we're not seeing exactly how good this game is going to look. YouTube compresses the hell out of stuff, and plus it being a stream, it's even worse. But just look at the atmosphere. This might not actually even be gameplay, but it's just the atmosphere of this alone tells you what we're going to get. If The Last of Us, quote unquote, remake were to look like this, merely a graphical upgrade, and I told you that's the last time I was going to talk about it. I'm still hung up a little bit on it, just because I cannot believe that so many people are trying to justify this. I can't. I am not just a blind fan of these things. I'm going to point out this kind of stuff. So now we go to the next one, and we get the familiar shot of Ashley again. What she's running from in that scene, I have no idea. Perhaps it could be the helicopter that's looking for her. Maybe she's trying to catch it. But we get familiar scenes here. And now let's take a closer look at the game. So we get Leon walking through the woods, and this is my jaw was on the floor when I see any new little snippet that they give me. I'm just sitting here just lopping it up. Like I'm so excited for this. And listen, I am excited for The Last of Us as well. I told you, I love that game. I'm excited for it. I'm just not excited for the price tag, and I'm assuming that this is going to be $70 as well. Okay? What I am also assuming is that this is a true remake. So let's continue. So we've got this scene of him walking through the woods. We've got crows up here, and like I mentioned earlier, I really hope that these are not just going to be coin sponges, like where you just shoot them, or like piñatas, and they just give you money. I hope that they will actually attack Leon, that they become an enemy in this. If you get too close, they're going to flog you. We'll get another view right here, and this almost looks like I believe, and I'm just going to make a prediction here, I believe that this is the first shot of the game. I think that this is going to be the gate that leads to the first Ganado's house, and this is going to be our first idea of the creepy atmosphere of the game. But just look how dark this is, guys. Look at our fog, look at the mist and stuff. This is really amazing stuff, and it's beautiful. Now we see the candles lying on the ground. Now I think that might actually be the site where we saw the dead deer earlier, and it looked like this might just be our Ganado might be a hunter. And he's walking through here, and this, of course, is his house. Someone was mentioning in a video earlier that it looks like the verticality of the game is going to be changed a bit to where there's no real places where you can climb up, but I'm not so sure of that. I think a lot of these structures are going to have multiple floors, and I don't really see why they would take that out. But once again, if we're talking about cut content, if they're trying to expand some things and cut others, as long as it does not affect the core gameplay and the story in a way that it diminishes anything, I don't care. That's going to be fine. So this was pretty much it. I was really hoping that they would show a little more, but like I said, they're really doing a great job at building anticipation for this. They're building hype for it. I don't want to overhype anything for any game, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a Resident Evil shill, and I know that just having the lenses of nostalgia, that is really affecting my opinion towards this. But I am also very critical of elements of this game and things that I do not want to see back. And I do not want the campiness of the island to come back. A lot of you I know will, and I want you to discuss that with me. I want you to tell me in the comments, hey, is that something that you want to see? Do you want to see the island make a return? And do you want to see the gunfights on the island make a return to this game? Or would you rather it stay creepy all the way till the end like I do? Adding new enemies, a more diverse group of enemies in terms of, hey, we're not going to have the same character model over and over again. I really hope that they managed to have at least 10 different Ganado characters in this, character models in it. That way, it's going to have a lot of diversity in terms of, like, we're not killing the same character over and over again. It was kind of a immersion breaker in the original. I know why. It was just that the engine was very limited as to how many characters it could have, especially that they were pushing it with all the hordes of characters on the screen at the same time, so it was basically you were fighting the same thing over and over again. And RE5 also suffered from that as well. But we're in a totally new generation, and this is that was 2005. So I mean we're getting close to 20 years since this game was released, guys, and I'm excited to know and to see what this RE engine can do with this game. So let me know in the comments what you feel about this. Are you still hyped after seeing these few little snippets that they've added today? After watching my videos, listening to me talk about this, are you even more hyped about it, about the possibilities? I want you all to help me sort of have a think tank on what they're going to add to this, what you would like to see moving forward to this. And also, if you want to touch more on The Last of Us, what would you like to see them add to a future The Last of Us game? Where do you want the sequel to the second game to go? Is there some way that they could bring Joel back? Is there some way that we could get another character that people could fall in love with and perhaps not hate Abby as much? Anything that would help this discussion grow further. In the last video that I made, I've had one particular commenter that started out the conversation was very negative, and it turned into a positive. We were having a little bit of barbs that we were trading back and forth, but after we had an opportunity to really explain ourselves and what we were talking about, we actually had more in common than I thought, and that's one thing about the medium in which we're communicating here. I'm speaking to you through a video that I'm making, and you are hearing my voice. You are hearing the tone of my voice and the way that I'm expressing this stuff, and that is impossible when you are reading comments. It's really hard to tell intent when you are reading someone's comments. So I'm going to be very judicious and patient whenever I'm reading someone's comment, and unless it is just blatant, to me that they're trying to insult me or throw me under the bus for something or for an opinion that I have the freedom to have, then unless it's that, I'm going to comment back to you, and let's have a productive discussion on this. So can't wait to make more videos here soon, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hit that like and subscribe button, and till the next one, peace out.